Good morning. It's 10:30. Art with me, Deborah, from the Center for Enhancing Abilities. I'm out of the Bergen location, but we welcome members from all our centers. So welcome. It is another okay morning. I think it's not too bad. And I'm in my craft room. I've got a friend with me. And I'm waiting for a few friends online. So today I had gotten some emails, some feedback. Somebody said to me, "Hey, Deborah, you haven't done an Easter-esque craft or project." You are correct, I have not. So, and I see an eye, I see somebody on, so that's good. What? I don't want you coming here. I don't need you coming here. It's yet another cat visiting me. I think we have Kara on, so welcome. I'll go over the rules of the class. I mean, technically we don't have any real rules, but just so you know, good morning. See, Kara knows the rules. She knows the drill. If you're watching us live, please chime in. Send me a comment. Just let me know you're there. All right? It's just good. And then I give you a shout out. Sometimes I do miss them. For whatever reason, not all the my comments pop up. I don't know why. So I don't see them until after the class. And then I give you shout outs afterwards. But today, it is art with me, Deborah. Another day with art. This week, I'm trying to convince, don't get too excited. I believe Allison's going to be doing Thursday's art class. So, that might be something with coloring eggs. I don't know. But either way, we'll make sure we get it. Today, we're gonna... Hello, Katie. Hello. Welcome, Christian. No way, man. Again. And Steven's not here, but Danielle might be on soon. Well, hey, I get it. Sometimes Steven joins us at the Bergen Center for Art. And if he's still sleeping, I totally get that. But if Danielle wants to come, Steven's sister, I believe I have it right? She's more than welcome. So, welcome. We've got a nice little crew to start us off with, which is awesome. As I said, it's art. Yeah. And, I was a little lazy. I got a little bit behind last night. I think I have corona fatigue or social distancing fatigue. I don't have coronavirus, but I do definitely seem a little like, wow, we've been doing this a while. So, and I don't think I've taught this many classes in a row. I think that says more about me. Hello, Jamie. Welcome. Join me for morning art. So good. Now we got a good crew. So today we're going to focus on an artist. So as I was saying, I was a little bit behind letting you know the materials. If that's ever the case and you're like, oh no, Deborah didn't tell me the ingredients. That's for cooking. Deborah didn't tell me the materials for art class. Never panic. They're materials that you probably have very, very quickly at hand. So whenever you see that, just gather some paper, some markers, crayons, pencils, something like that. And then you'll be ready to go. For actually any of my classes, you can always do your own thing with those materials. Every art class will be able to accommodate that. I'm pretty cool that way. As I said, I'm not coming to your house to review your project, so but I do want to see them. So make sure as you're finishing your art projects, because there's like a whole slew, make sure you send me pictures. All right? You can post them on Facebook. You can send them through Facebook Messenger, or you can email me at cea2bergen@gmail.com. And I will definitely share your work with everyone. So my coffee cup is a hint, sort of a hint, on what artist we're going to be focusing on. He's kind of a go-to artist for me when I'm feeling a little down in the dumps, because of the brightness and kind of I think maybe he would agree with me, the silliness of the art. I think I made a pretty good cup of coffee today. So this might be a hint for you. So any of you looking at my mug can figure out which artist we're going to showcase today, work on today. Let me know while I go over the materials that you need to do this amazing project. I'm going to give you another hint. I'm going to show you a small sample of what it is really quick. Okay, that's the small, hey, Terrence, what's up, man? What's up? I know you love art, and this is a good one for you to join in. I think you're going to like this. So, the materials that you need are paper. Obviously, paper. Okay, you can use it whatever. I'm going to give a shout out to the paper, okay? You could use whatever. You could do drawing paper. Thick is always nice. Thick is always nice to use. You can use printer paper. I don't care. Notebook. Maybe you have a composition book or a notebook that you are making like a scrapbook of all this work. That's an awesome idea. I should have done that, but I didn't. So it doesn't matter. Just paper. All right? We are working on paper today. What's else? So if you see me looking off to it's not a ghost. I'm looking at my script, I guess, or my list. You're going to need markers. Now, when I say markers, you can use colored pencils, crayons, whatever you have handy. You could even use watercolor pencils. That might work really well, too. I'm just going to use general markers, and I just realized that my marker supply is stinky. It's the ones I used to use when I worked with a lot of my kids' classes. I used to buy the cheap stuff, and now I know why it's cheap. You can also use Sharpies. I don't like to color with Sharpies. I don't know. It sucks too much ink in, and sometimes it's dull. I don't know. A really good, like, general craft marker. These are scented ones. I need some restorative art stuff. So it could be anything. Anything. I'm trying to think of other things I have. You can use paints. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want. If you're using paints, you should probably use a thicker paper, in my opinion. Just my my guess. Okay? So we got paper, markers. You may want, I'm very disorganized, a pencil. A pencil's good to do your sketching. All right? A ruler will be helpful. It's optional. I got paper. It's not necessary, but you know what? When you're planning your art studio, because this is a great time to work on making an art studio, there are supplies that you should always have handy. You should always have a pencil. You should always have a pencil sharpener. I'm actually waiting for an additional electric pencil sharpener because I'm fancy. Should be coming today from Staples. Scissors, paintbrushes, markers, crayons, colored pencils, some basic paints. These are the things to start building on. You are correct, Kara. You are correct. We've done him a number of times, like at different programs. Kara and I have worked on Andy Warhol for many years. He's a good go-to. I'm not going to do the Campbell's soup. But I might, maybe I post in a Google Classroom project. I have a really good template you can do. We're going to do more of the print. So we're going to be working on coloring, and we're going to try to print ourselves. It's not going to go well, but we're going to try it anyway, because that's, hey, what else do we've got to do? So work on your building your art studio. This is a wonderful time. Make a little special place. You can put it in a bin, or if you have a table somewhere. I'm in my craft room, which is in the dungeon of my house, the basement. So think of working on those things. But Kara is correct. We are going to be working on an Andy Warhol project to work on some skills that we need to work on. Okay? So you need paper. Markers is what we're going to use overall, because I love markers because they're really bright. I want you to think of brightness, color. We're kind of been picking on this rainbow theme a lot because I know it's very uplifting and it's very springy. So, and we're going to have an Easter focus. If you do not celebrate Easter, that's totally cool. You can adjust your project to maybe making it a different shape. We're going to work with an egg shape. But you could do it as a circle. You can do it as something on a Seder plate. You could do it as anything. You could do it as a smiley face, anything. But we're going to be focusing more on an Easter kind of thing, I guess. So paints are optional, but if you like to do the printing aspect of this, you're going to need an extra sheet of paper and black paint and a brush, okay? And some water, probably. So let us begin. So your project is going to be working on, Andy Warhol is known really for pop art. Pop art really pops out at you. It's about popular culture. So he took a lot of images. The famous one is the Campbell's soup. Let me see. I got some more. Right? Here you go. There's the Campbell's soup. Was what he was known for. And some prints. He did these really cool prints of famous popular culture people. Marilyn Monroe is a really well-known one. And actually what's really cool, and I think I put it in our Facebook in this thread that for the schedule of the day, there is a way, it really talks about how, it's for our more advanced art students, about how they worked on printing and how they have these layers of inks and paints. So that's a really cool thing. We're going to be focusing in on, he was really known on repetition, which I kind of like, and working on multiple printings of the same image. So we're going to do that. We've done this before. We're just going to change the shape up. And what's really cool, it doesn't matter which way we hold it. Hooray! We're going to be working on an Easter egg shape. All right? So, but what he was really known for, what a lot of people, is that Campbell's soup. Campbell's soup. Something kind of simple, very everyday objects that everyone would know. And I think he did like a soap one, too, a soap powder. He did Marilyn Monroe. I think he did Elvis Presley. He did Mao Zedong. So a lot of different stuff that he did. And the shapes are always very bold, very simple. These are not super complicated things. Usually, especially for the pop culture items, they're very well known. So that's kind of cool too. And super bright. Super bright. Because we need a little bit. I'm looking out today in my window. I have like this much of a window, and it's really like kind of cruddy. The other thing is his studio was known as the Factory because they kind of like cranked out a lot of this art. And some people question whether or not this is art or not. That's really, your discretion whether you think it's art. Does it have to be highbrow? Fine art? Or can it be, is art in itself just imagery to have interaction with you? Like you look at something and you get a feeling, or you have an opinion, or you identify it in your head. That's, I think, really what art is a lot about. It's not about, I think his use of color is a statement of man's, I don't know, whatever with man. So sometimes it's pretty simple. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do something that you can start and then you can have working throughout the week as well. So the first thing we're going to do is, if you are a person that doesn't want to draw, you can open up on your phone. There is, on today's schedule on the Facebook, there is a link to some of the templates that you can do. I'm going to show you how to make your own template. And this is one of the skills we're going to work on. We're going to work on repetition, practice, and copying. We are going to try to do the same shape and pattern each time. Now, If you're the type of person that, hey, Deborah, I never do anything the same way twice, that's totally cool. I have no problems with that. As I said, I'm not coming to your house to yell at you if you didn't do it the same exact way. You're the artist, you're in control. It's your Andy Warhol inspired art. So if you want to do it different ways, you totally can. But what this is going to do is this is going to really send home the idea of, people say, Deborah, my eggs aren't that good. How are you such, like one of our, like Teresa or Andres or Allison, all our different artists at the center. How are you so good at drawing something or painting something? I just see that you just kind of draw it and it's there. The key is, or Tony with playing music, the key is practice, practice, practice. I'm an old person. I've been doing this for many years. I've drawn hundreds and thousands of Easter eggs. So it's practice. So that's what we're going to work on today a little bit. Trying to get you to repeat a pattern. So that's what we're going to do. Okay? So your first step is you can also print this out. If you don't want to bother and you just want to print out a whole bunch, you can get the link on today's schedule posting. You can get that there. Okay? And I'll either put it in this thread too. So you can do that. Or what you can do is you can take your piece of paper, and what we're going to do is we're going to use a fancy word. We're going to fold our paper in 4 quadrants. We're going to make 4 squares. So I am, and hopefully you can see, I'm folding my piece of paper. It doesn't really matter how you start. Okay, I folded it in half. Boop. Okay, lined it up. And I'm going to fold that again. I'm going to keep it folded, and I'm going to fold it again. So I folded it in half, and then I folded it in half again. So when I open it up, ta-da, I don't know if you can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 quadrants. You might ask, Deborah, why did you do this? This is really helpful if you're doing a printing project, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. But it will also help you keep the 4 quadrants of our paper. Okay? That's how I did it. Now, if you're like me and you're a little wacky and you really want to see your pattern, your 4 quadrants, that's why you also fold it. You can take your ruler. Hopefully you can see me putting my ruler down. Line it up with the fold. And just take your marker or your pencil, okay, and make a line on the fold mark. That's all you need to do. Yeah. That way, instead of you trying to figure out measuring, and then you notice that your ruler's crooked and it drives you nuts that you don't have 4 even quadrants, you can very simply, because it's easy. I shouldn't say that. It's not easy to fold. I know that sounds bizarre. It actually, practice. It takes a while to line up your edges to get those. But by folding and then taking our ruler, we have these wonderful squares. It helps guide us. The ruler kind of just fits into the spot. Okay? So that's one way to do it. Now, we have these 4 quadrants. We are going to, for my painting, I'm just going to number them so you can see as I'm working. It's probably going to be backwards. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I just want you to get an idea. So you're going to make, hey, Caitlin, what's up? You always wondered, so Caitlin has a question whether or not he was colorblind because he combines so many, and he has so many clashing, colors too. I think it's to draw attention to the art. I think it is to create a response. I think it is to be in your face. It is. And throughout the lesson, I have some wild and weird facts, trivia about Warhol. You know, his birth date was never recorded when he was born at the hospital. And he would like to change his birthday and make up stories about, him being a kid. So he had a kind of a wild imagination. And I think that's it. But it's a good question. It's something that maybe to look at. I didn't think so, but I will look into that. It's a good one. So what we're going to do is, this is when you're going to get your pencil. I always like to sketch my design first, and then I go over with my marker. You all know I like to do that. You don't have to. You don't have to. Now, we are going to make an oval shape, or where's my egg? Okay. Or an egg shape. If you're doing this for like Easter, okay? You could do anything you want. It doesn't matter. You could draw a bunny rabbit head. You could draw a picture of yourself. We're going to work on this to practice the same shape. I want you to pick a basic shape. If you want to do it as a circle, you can. But an egg shape has a tendency, it's like a circle that you sat on. All right? It's a little squished. Okay? Now, some people draw eggs where they're more like oval, right? And more like an elliptical shape. Some really have a little bit more of a point on top. That's how I did it. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw a fat bottom. Okay, see how I did that? A fat bottom. I'm making a big U. A big U. And then on top, I'm going to make a skinnier U. See how I did that? A skinnier U, and I'm going to attach them. All right? So I have an egg shape. All right? That's your egg shape. If you like that shape and you want to draw it with a marker, which I'm going to do, okay? There you go. There's my egg. There's my egg shape. My egg shape is very pointy. Some eggs, I think eggs are usually very round on the top, actually. But that's how I did it. Now, what you're going to do is you are going to go to each square, 1, 2, 3, 4, each quadrant, and you're going to draw the same egg shape. Don't do your design yet. Let's see if we can match the height. So I'm taking a pencil. I don't know if you can see it. There's a pencil line, a pencil line. You can do that. Do a soft line. Don't go, because you rip the paper and it'll be hard to take it off. Draw your lines across to help you practice drawing. Remember, he was a factory man. He had different things and stencils to do printing. We're doing it freehand for this part of the exercise. Let's see if we can create the same shape 4 times. So, and it may not be perfect. I get that, right? It may not be perfect. There you go. I want to try to practice the same shape over and over. This one might be a little bit bigger. This one's a little bit pointier. It'll help us see what our differences are, like how good. It'll train our minds. What are those things that they, spot the differences? Spot the differences. Now I'm moving pretty fast, so I don't keep you guys all day. But I worked on making my eggs. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. My eggs actually are about the same size. They're about the same size. They're about the same width. And they're same shape. That's what we talk about practice. Practice, practice, practice. You all wonder how all these teachers, these artists, they don't, I see this all the time. People get mad at themselves. I'm just erasing my pencil marks, which you can do. They're like, Deborah, when we're doing a drawing project, how did you get that, really well? Your picture of whatever, XYZ, is in better shape or more centered than mine. Well, yeah, I'm the one that did the lesson plan. I've been practicing. You haven't. When you just go in and just wing it, it takes time. So that's what this exercise is about. So the first thing you're going to do is draw 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 eggs. You've got 4 eggs. What do you know? Now, you're going to go back to your first quadrant. Your first quadrant. Imagine like this is, I know people are going to have stress. Just imagine like this is your axis, right? Your axes. That's your X, that's your Y. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what we're looking at. Okay? So we're going to go to the first one in the corner, and I want you to think of a pattern. Any kind of pattern. Now, if you want to make your eggs one color, because that's actually how I dye my eggs at Easter. None of this fancy stuff. One color. You can. Your project will go a lot faster. So what I'd like you to do is, if you notice here, I might have a line coming across. I might have a zigzag. I might have dots. I want you to split the egg up, the design. And you're doing the first one. So maybe I'm doing a zigzag pattern like Charlie Brown. And maybe I'm going to draw one line. Okay, I've got like a stripe, see? So I have 2 zigzags that make one big zigzag, and I have 2 lines that make one big stripe. See how I did that? And you can do whatever you want. You can make it as elaborate as you want. You can make it as simple as you want. The idea is we want the egg to be split up a little bit. We don't want just one color. You could, but this is going to help us really work on the practice, working on practicing, working on replicating a design, perfecting a design, and also working on that kind of pop culture idea that Andy Warhol worked on using lots of different colors. So that's how we're going to do it. So once you have your design on the first egg, you're going to move to egg number 2. Now, some of you are rebels, and there's no way I'm going to tame you. So what you're going to do is if that's your case and you want every egg to be different, you can do that. I'm going to be teaching it from the standpoint, I'm going to try to replicate. I'm going to try to repeat the same egg 4 times. That's what I'm going to do. Alrighty? So if some of you are coming in late, this is Deborah with Morning Art. We're doing an Andy Warhol Easter design. I think I got David J on. And if I'm missing you, give me a shout out. I know I got a few people on. So I'm going to my egg number 2, and I'm going to do my same zigzag. Okay? My same zigzag. I want to get the same number of zags. Is that what it's called? I don't know. You tell me. And the same stripe at the bottom. Now, if you notice, that's not too bad, right? This one's a little bit smaller or not as wide as this one. Those are pretty good. So we're looking, how can we repeat? How can we practice? This is a lot of control, and that is hard for a lot of us. I do get it. But it also helps you by doing the same thing over and over again. A lot of artists have done that. If you notice, they have their blue period, or they go and they paint the same landscape over and over again, and they find something new in it each time, or find ways to improve. That's how you learn, okay? We learn by practicing and copying. This egg's going to be a little different, okay? A little different. You can see it, right? This is a little bit wider here. Maybe as I do this project, I learn to perfect my egg. Maybe I like this design over that design, okay? And one last time, since I have 4 eggs, I'm going to go into my last quadrant, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Overall, they look pretty much alike, right? They do, okay? So that's how we do that part. So you have 4. Now you're going to add your color. So while I'm going to start you off on adding the color, and then I'm going to show you a way to try to print something using a quadrant. So like kind of a folded thing. Hey, I think my friend Dave is on. Sorry, people are sending me texts, and I think it makes the camera I don't know, it does something to the video, somebody told me. So, and distracts me. So, what we're doing, Dave, you're joining us. Hey, man, hey. We are working on an Andy Warhol drawing. It's an Easter drawing. If you remember Andy Warhol with the soup. And this is what we're going to be focusing on. This is a smaller one, all right? Or maybe I'll put it up here. We are working on 4. He worked on these repetitive prints, pop colors. They pop at you. They are bright. It is the same design, but what makes it different is the pattern of colors is different each time. And that's how it plays on the eye to make these things pop. So, another little Andy Warhol. Let's see. You know, he once said, good business is the best art. A lot of artists would say, that's terrible, because art, you know, you starve for art, you suffer for art. Making art a business, is that really the point of art? Sure, I think so. You know, everything you use in terms of technology, if you have an iPhone, you know, Apple is really great at this. The aesthetics of the and the design of your products is very important. So, yeah, I can see that. So, here we are. I'm going to get you started to show you what we're going to do. Now, the first thing I want you to think about is you can color one egg at a time. You can go across all different eggs. But each quadrant is going to have a different background, right? And depending on what colors you pick for your background, some will clash, some will go really well, and they'll complement each other, and they'll actually pop against each other, right? So the blue and red, I love to work in primary colors. So those of you who remember, this is important art stuff. Your primary colors are your blue, your red, your yellow, right? Because no other colors can be used to make them. They have to be made on their own. And they really stand out against each other, okay? When you use what I call the cousins on the color wheel, so to speak, they're near each other. So like purple is kind of a cousin. It's kind of next to blue because it's in between the blue and the red, right? It's okay. It's what? Dad threw you down the stairs instead of the towels. Oh my goodness, man. We got to get through this quarantine. We're all going nuts. I hear you though. I've thought of, well, no, I haven't thought of throwing anybody down the stairs. It's crazy. It's crazy in this house. So think of your backgrounds. I don't want you all of a sudden to do red, red, and red, and red. Whoops. Or red, blue, yellow, and yellow. Whoops. It's got to be different colors. It could be purple, orange, yellow, and green. It doesn't matter. Your backgrounds, we want 4 different colors. That's the one rule I'd like you to try, okay? So, why I asked for markers today is because I want bright colors. That's why. You can use crayons, you can use Sharpies, you could use chalk pastels. I don't care. But sometimes like colored pencils or certain types of colors might be very dull. We want bright colors. So I'm going to start with red, okay? And you don't want too much. So I'm just going to draw coloring, as you can see. And I'm just going in. I'm just coloring the design. And I do find coloring, and I'm so glad they brought it back for adults. Okay, there's my, it's very relaxing. It takes a lot of focus to do it. All right. If you prefer to do painting, you totally can do painting. Absolutely. You can paint. You could use watercolors. You could do whatever you want. So the goal is, I want you to start, and I want you, like one of the things Caitlin was talking about, like, man, he had to be colorblind because none of these colors look like they go, right? They're clashing against each other. That's what we want. That's what we want for this crazy project. We want as much contrast as possible. So I'm using smelly markers today to brighten my mood. And I think all my markers are like dying out. Okay. All right. So see how I'm working? I'm just coloring in. And I want you to color in as much as possible. And some people, I'm going to do something that people say you should never, ever do, is I am going, oh my gosh, I used orange next to red. Ooh, they clash. They say you should never wear those colors together. I enjoy wearing those colors together. I do. They're very bright and colorful. So I'm just kind of coming in, and I'm going to show you one square, okay? And then I'm going to show you the next idea. As I said, you can use other shapes. What does this smell like? Ooh, that smells like chocolate chip mint ice cream. Ooh. Now, some of you, do you want to use black or whatever, or brown? We're really going for poppy, pop, like bright colors. But you can use whatever you want, okay? And then I'm going to do my background. And I picked a cruddy marker. And mine's going to be a little bit not so great, which is the story of my life. And I'm just going to show you, and then I'm going to show you how you can try to print using the folded paper method. Do I have another yellow? Here we go. These were dollar store markers, and they're pretty old. So I think they're starting to get a little faded. Okay? So for your purpose, see? All right? I got a yellow background. Where my next background might be, just to give you an idea, okay, is I don't want yellow next to yellow. I want green next, or whatever color you want. And you move to the next egg. And you're working in the same design, but changing the color patterns. So instead of orange here, maybe I'm using yellow or blue or purple, and disperse the colors throughout, okay? So while you're working on that, I'm going to share you another one. Let's say, his parents were immigrants from Slovakia. I can't pronounce it today. I can't talk. I guess I need more. Wow, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Does anybody know where he's from originally? Okay, does anybody? We'll come back to that. I'm going to see if you are paying attention. You had your Wheaties today. So, what I'm going to do is while you're working on your colors to make your eggs, I'm going to show you if I wanted to print a design. Okay, this is not perfect, but it'll give us something else to chit-chat about while we're working, okay? And this may be something that you can do. Now, it's harder to do it on a bigger piece of paper because the paint kind of dries. I don't know if you have, propyl alcohol we'll bring them back. Yes, you can. You can bring back, you can revive your markers. You can also make like cool, like kind of watercolors and dyes from it. Now, this is what we're going to, so good tips, Caitlin, thank you. This is what we're going to be doing. I did it on a teeny tiny scale, so we could talk about it, okay? And what I did was I took my piece of paper. This is the same image that I tried to print on each one. I also had an accident. But what I did was I took my piece of paper and I'm going to fold it. And the idea is I applied paint or ink to one square, transferred the pattern to another square, then went back and applied more paint and transferred it to two others. That's what we're going to do. Now, this is a little bit more complicated because we're trying with a very specific pattern, the egg pattern. It works better with very simple patterns, but we're going to try it. So let's say I wanted to do this design, okay? This is a sad egg. So that's the design we're going to work with though. So you have your piece of paper, your extra piece of paper. You're going to fold your piece of paper in half. Make sure it's lined up. Then you're going to fold your piece of paper again, just like we did for making our eggs, our Warhol eggs, okay? We're going to open it up, okay? Now, if you want to do your lines, you can. I'm not going to do that for the time being. I'm going to leave it just like that. Now, I drew a design, okay? I drew an egg with some stripes. It also looks like a bocce ball or something like that. Whatever it is, it's cool, all right? One design you could do is like a smiley face. And actually, maybe that's what we'll do. Okay? I think that might work really well. Okay? So I'm folding my paper once in half. I'm folding my paper again. Okay? So now I have 4 quadrants. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to start in my top left-hand corner. Doesn't matter. You can start wherever. Pick your first quadrant. And what you're going to do is I used black paint and a brush. Okay? Nothing too fancy. I'm going to get my brush wet with black paint. Okay? And I said what? A smiley face. So I'm going to make 2 eyes. And I'm going to show you. And a smile. Okay? Right? 2 eyes and a smile. See how I did that? Now, if you want to do a circle, you can around. We're just going to experiment. So I'm making sure I have enough paint, okay? We want our paint to stay wet. We're going to take our paper and we're going to fold it just along the half and just press down. Not, you don't need to do that. And just make sure I'm kind of outlining my design. And there you go. Now it's upside down. True, it is upside down because we're using a 4 quadrant, which you could cut them out and then mount them on different papers. But this design, if you're doing this, it's important if you have a design that's up and down, that may be an issue for you. If it's just a general shape, it will work the same way. But that's okay. That's okay. I don't mind having that down because I thought this was a good one for us to work with. Nice and easy. All right, now, what I'm going to do is, so some of you coming in late for our group, we are working on Andy Warhol. We're working on our, on our papers flying all over the place, right? Working on those contrasting prints, designs, and patterns. And we're doing it by practicing the same drawing 4 times, okay? Now, let's say you're like me and, you got a lot of cool places to go. Queen of England invited me over to the castle and I just got, not enough time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to play with printing. So I drew my first design and I printed it once. And now I'm going to print it on the other side. So what I'm doing is I'm going back with my paint and I'm retracing my original design. But now, not just for the one on top, making sure I get enough wet paint. See, I went back and then I'm going to fold it the other way. Okay, see how I did that? Okay, see how I folded it that way? And then I'm pressing. And when I open it up, I've got the print on all 4 sides. And it's the same print, which is cool. And that's how the factory with Andy Warhol, they didn't do it this way. I mean, they weren't as smart as me. But they printed. That's how we do it. Any of you, like when we worked on the fashion show, where you came in and we worked with linoleum print, the linoleum blocks where we printed, or you use stencils with our airbrush. The idea is we're using the same pattern over and over again. So that's how you do it. And that's not bad. And if you're going to color it and work on these these designs, you're going to let your black paint dry. So I'm going to try it while we're working. I'm going to now try it. I'm going to get my brush a little wet. And I'm going to try it now with a different design. Keep coloring. So I went with a simple design. And now I'm coming to my egg. So let's say some of you want to try it with an egg. I think a bolder, rounder brush works. I mean, or it doesn't matter, round or flat, but a bigger brush will help you do this. Okay, so I'm coming over. I'm drawing. I'm tracing my pattern with my black paint. Let's see how it works. Now I got more lines. I'm folding, so I'm only going to get print on one side, on one quadrant, one square. Okay, and I'm taking my fingers, I'm tracing my design. All right, not bad, not bad, right? I got the same design. It's a negative. It's a reverse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush, like what I did with my smiley face, and I'm going to trace back my lines. So that's one way that I can do the same design. Not a lot of work with not stressing. There is one way that we work at the center when we want to replicate a design. Now, another thing, my paint is a little blobby, kind of like me. So make sure when you are making your brush strokes, you're evenly putting it in. If you've got little blobs of paint, you're going to make little blobs on your print when you push down. And that's all right. It's kind of cool. So make sure your paint is even. What gets challenging is you got to go back over your design, put enough paint before the other one dries. Now, the other way that we copy and make copies of design, if anybody knows, some people really like it. I have a light box of mine that I brought to the center a long time ago, and I use my light box, okay? So I'm coming in. Key is you really got to keep your paint wet, okay? My two designs, I'm going to fold it the other way, and it helps that I've already folded my paper because then I'm going to have less work to do. I'm tracing with my finger to make sure I press it. Let's see how it comes out. Not bad, not bad. I've got the same design. And that will let me go back with my paint or my marker, okay? Coming along, okay? I'm coming along. Mine's not going to be beautiful, you know. But it helps you create the same pattern of relatively the same shape and design. We're using the power of paint to print for us. Sometimes we use the power of light to guide us with our printing. So if, let's say, you found a design or you made the perfect egg in one of your designs and you're like, Deborah, I don't know how to get that design again and again. If you have the right kind of paper and it's a strong color underneath, a strong outline like in black, you can put, not too thick of a paper. Printer paper would be good. There you go. There's my eggs. Printing. You can lay one paper over the other. And let's see if we can do that here. Right? I don't know if it'll show under the light. Let me see if I can get light. Ah, there we go. Perfect. Perfect. So if you can't see it by looking down, I can. So I could trace all my prints, all my shapes. You could do it that way. Yes, the light board, Katie, does rule. It's awesome. But let's say Katie's like, Deborah, I'm not at the center. I don't have a light board and I can't see through my paper. I think you can a little bit see through it, right? You can also trace, this is a little weird. You can either, I've done this, you can go to a window in your house and tape up your two pieces of paper, and the light that comes through will let you trace it. You could take a plexiglass or a piece of like a plastic container. I have one, and you could hold it up to a light. It's a little tricky. You might need help, but there's ways you can do it. You can put a light, if you have, you can put a light, you know, it's got to be a secure light or a way to let it go. You can kind of put a light and put 2 chairs and put a plastic container over. So you make like a, hold on a second. Okay. So let's say I have this nice clear plastic piece, and I have a little lamp underneath, or a flashlight, and I have books or things holding it up, and then I can put it in, and then I can trace. So there's different ways that you can do repetitive designs without going nuts. But for our main design, the way we worked on it, we've done it different ways. We actually drew the design each time to practice those skills. All right, we could trace it each time. And we also learned a quick and kind of funky way of learning how to print a design, working on those 4 quadrants that we worked on. All right, so some of the things that we want to recap, and these are cool. If you make one, you can make all your own coloring pages too. So let's say you really found the design that you liked when you drew it. Just print it on a lot of us have printers at home that are also photocopiers. You could do that too. So you could keep doing the same one. Like this was a little bit smaller that I got from a template that is on our Facebook, on the thread for the morning schedule. This one's there. I shrunk it a little bit so I could make like kind of a little mounted card. This is some cool corrugated paper. You could make them small and put them on a card. It's cool. Or you can cut these out and make, use them for individual. I like them when they're all together, but you could do them individually, cut them out, and use them as place settings. I have a good friend that likes to do that. Mom used the sun for my dot to dot. Yeah, sometimes those are really hard to see. My son Simon has them from his OT, and it's like 1,000. Like, I don't have time for that. So, working again, let's see. You know, Warhol started his career as an illustrator. Okay, he made drawings and advertisements for magazines and advertisements. And then that kind of led to his way of being the factory, where he made and he printed, this is the mini one, where he printed the same piece over and over again. And his prints, while some people might say, oh, they just look like somebody slathered, they just printed the same print. It wasn't that difficult. They just put one coat of paint. No, it's a little bit more involved than that. So that's kind of cool. There is a little bit more of a thought process to it. Let's see what other things. So I said it, but nobody commented. I asked, does anybody know where he's originally from? He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He eventually moves to New York City in 1959 to become an artist. I mean, that's where you're going to go. I think that's where you're going to go to become an artist. And he, in 1961, so this has been around for a while, his stuff, he came up with this concept of using these mass, popular commercial images, right? The soup. That's what he did in his art. And, he called it pop art. Okay? And there's different popular pop art artists. That's a lot of times to say pop. So he's not the only one, but he's definitely, when we think of this concept, he's like the number one guy that we think of. And it really goes to more of this modern art. Do you think this is art as compared to, everybody thinks of the Mona Lisa, right? Which it's not really one of my faves, but they think like, wow, that's not. And for those of you in our Bergen Center, when we talked about especially modern or contemporary art, and we look at it and we say, hey, I could have done that. And one of the curators and scholars that we were listening to said, in response to that, because everybody's like, that's not art. I could do that. And her response is, but you didn't. Kind of snooty response, but it's a great one because it really talks about how creativity and different people were like, yeah, that is a great idea. He did it and we didn't. Let's see. If he was in the dictionary, he would be under corny and unconventional. That would be true. He was kind of a wacky looking guy, and I shouldn't be saying anything about his looks, but he really was kind of an interesting person. He had this very interesting look, and he hung out with these very interesting people, and they made kind of like weird movies that you look and you're like, huh? So yeah, but it was the times. It was crazy times. Who knows what art's going to come out of this time, right? We're going to see lots of interesting ideas that we can't go out, as easily to do these things. So we'll see how our times shape our our artistic expression. That's tricky to say. So, and one of the things that people don't always like about art, and what I like about his art, is that we all can have an opinion on it, and it's really easy to process for us. Some people, I don't know, sound like like a weird bird was flying upstairs my house. That sometimes we go to an art museum and we look at these paintings and we're scratching our heads and we're like, huh, what is that? I don't see it. Or they're very boring, a bunch of people on a boat somewhere, like, oh, all right. Andy Warhol really brought art to the masses. We could look at it, know what it is, so it's not like it's an inside joke. We can figure it out, and we can really take a look and start to process it. Talk about our feelings about it. Did we like it? Did we not? What is it? Why did he do it? It starts a conversation. And that's really a lot of things about art. It's not so much that it has to be a perfect image of something, but it makes us feel a certain way. It makes us have an opinion. It either makes us feel good, it makes us feel bad, all those things about art. So while you're working, and I think my time is up, and I will be back later to do some Tai Chi, but I do know if you're bored or you're looking for stuff to do, or you're very organized, go to our Google Classroom. I think there's a new photography lesson up today that you could check out all week. New Google Classroom assignments, things you can do on your own time. I think I also shared as well, the Morris staff has got some things going on. I don't have like codes, or I think there's times, and some things will be on Facebook, but you can go over there if you already like their page. You can, or if you haven't, you can like it now. If you have questions about getting access, you can put it in the thread to that on their Facebook page. So I'm all about sharing our members with each other. So go in and check that out. Today will be a chill out session of some cool movement. We might be working on brush strokes, so that's kind of where I'm leaning. So that's at 2:30. Tomorrow will be, I think, cooking, then lunch bunch, and then music. And lunch bunch will be on Zoom and Facebook. All right? Yeah, so I will see you guys later. Please work on this. Share your pictures of your art. And I hope you enjoyed a little bit of time getting ready for Easter and learning a little bit about Andy Warhol and working on skills needed for art, such as practice, practice, practice. Alrighty, guys. Bye.